Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I am your host, Madison Malloy, and on this episode, we are talking AI, artificial intelligence. I have the founders of MillionWays that are here talking about their very scientific and personalized, emotionally intelligent AI system that is going to help people understand better who they are. We all think we know who we are, but do we really? So through their very private and secure technology, we might all be able to find out exactly who we are and why we may do the things that we do. And this is a big focus on improving our mental health and also what we do overall and our purpose in life. So you are not going to want to miss this. We'll be right back with our guest on this episode of Next to Madison.
It's your host, Madison Malloy, and I have exciting news. My new product is now available on Amazon called Color Your Way to Abundance, a 21-day manifestation guide for wealth, health, and love. This unique coloring journal will help you manifest by coloring in the affirmations while you continue to repeat them. This will help activate these affirmations so they become a reality. Grab your copy today and relax, color, and start manifesting.
Okay, we are back with our amazing guest on this very special episode of Next to Madison, where we are diving more into the world of AI. We have got the founders of MillionWays with us, which is a scientific, intelligent AI or emotionally intelligent psychology. They're going to explain it. It's a very advanced, amazing AI that is going to change the way we find jobs, find therapists, even meet our specific partners. So welcome, Max and Martin. How are you guys?
Thanks so much. Perfect. So thanks for having us, Madison. So glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm very glad to have you guys. So let's start with how you guys came up with this and what was the need you feel that you wanted to start this and bring it to the world?
Thanks. Yeah, and also great introduction. So this is exactly what we have right now, but it started a little different because we had a research NGO in Germany. That's where the beautiful accent comes from. So we just moved 3 years ago to New York, and the NGO was about how to understand people and their emotions and hidden patterns in a scalable way. It wasn't an AI back then. This was like 6 or 7 years ago. So AI wasn't even on the radar. So we didn't plan to be an AI company. We wanted to help people understand themselves better. That was the origin.
Okay, so this originally started where you're like, okay, people, because I think people are confused and they take so many outside influences to determine their thinking and their habits and their decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I was an expert, so-called expert for in Germany. I was always working on exactly this topic because I struggled with that myself, like understanding myself and finding a way in this world. This is also where our name comes from, Million Ways, because you are confused by all the noise around you. And it's so hard to find your inner voice if you have like 1,000 voices outside all the time. And people are struggling with that. It's so overwhelming and overloading every single day. And we were thinking about a tool to change that. And again, it wasn't an AI back then, but it is now. So you can use it and you can understand your hidden patterns without having to do. It's not a therapy. It's just in addition to that. Let's say it like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
But we can tell you much more about that. And maybe Max can explain a little what it is today and whatever is most interesting. So we can tell a lot of stories here. We are half brothers, by the way. Maybe that's important to know. So we are half brothers. We only met when I was 21 and he was 11.
Oh my gosh.
There's already the self-understanding part because I was adopted, and there's a lot of story behind that. So I know what it means to try to find yourself.
Yeah. So let's go into what it is today, because the MillionWays AI company now is geared towards having AI understand the human almost, correct me if I'm wrong, more than they understand themselves, to be able to more clearly and concisely make decisions that can impact them more positively.
Right. Yeah. So what originated as the NGO turned into a for-profit later because we wanted to make it scalable through tech and AI. And we did it at the right moment, right before the general AI hype took off. And we used, back then, we used natural language processing. So we're text-based. Basically, the technology can analyze any given piece of text. It can be emails that you've written. It can come from this interview, for example. It can come from other text that you've written or online communications, chats. So wherever you leave some text, you can feed it into our technology, and our AI system will turn it into deep psychological insights. And exactly like you mentioned, Madison, some of them might be unknown to you actually because they're implicit, and people sometimes don't understand what truly drives them, or they don't know what kind of characteristic they have, which leads to certain behavioral patterns that they might know from themselves. And we can unveil all of these hidden things from just reading your texts.
Oh my, so okay, so people can go and to your website, they can create an account, and then they can load in. So they can load in professional emails, they can load in personal emails, they can load in text with friends, text with boyfriends, text with prospects, we'll call them prospects. And and then you could say something like, help me come up with a business plan that's going to fuel my passion and purpose. Is that?
Yeah, we have built out different applications. So the app works a little differently. We use another approach where we interview you to get to know you better, because the original text to analyze your personality has to be around 1,000 words, so it's accurate, and it's an accurate depiction. And then after that, it works like a journal. So you can actually upload new texts and talk about anything that you want. And you will get feedback from our chatbot that actually knows your personality, knows your patterns, and gives you tailored advice to your personality.
Oh my gosh. So I could see this as a great, because there is like a secret web group on social media called like, are we dating? Have we dated the same guy, or are we dating the same guy? It's a very popular group or whatever. And it'd be really funny though if you could actually like put your dating drama or good stuff in there and get advice versus going to this group.
Yeah, that's an amazing idea, honestly. I love that. So because what people think about AI today is generating stuff. This is very important. That's why it's called generative AI. And it's always important to tell that in interviews like this, because what people think AI is usually generating. So generating text, generating images, videos, whatever. And we don't create something. We don't generate something. We understand something. That's the opposite. So it's a totally different kind of AI, science-based, proven, validated, all of these things, because we had the research before. And this actually leads to totally different use cases like the one you just said. So Max described one of the apps, like the interview, but as you said, you can also feed in emails or whatever. You can theoretically do that, or your dating stories. Only important, you have to do it yourself. You can't use a ChatGPT created text, obviously, because that would not be yours. But everything that you wrote yourself is, or said yourself, is possible. We could use another podcast of you and give you a profile of everybody. So, yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely amazing, because it could probably tell you what field of work you should be in, what business you should start, what type of people you should date. So it almost, but this is where I think it can scare people.
Yeah.
When a company or an artificial intelligence system knows them better than they know themselves. So how do you protect your users?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And coming from Germany doesn't help very often, but in this case it helps, because Germany is known for having the most strict data protection standards in the world, the European Union in general, and we comply with all of them. We are also HIPAA compliant in the US, so we meet all these criteria. But more important is that you can use it completely anonymously, because other than GPT and all these things, we don't need to know who you are. You can sign up with an anonymous fake email address. I don't know, whatever you want to do. You can use Apple login. This is also anonymous, and we don't know who you are. So, and we don't want to know who you are. So you can be a celebrity and you can sign up, and we don't know that you are that.
Right.
We only care about your personality, and this is pretty cool because we remove all these other biases like gender, age, ethnicity. It doesn't matter at all. It's just you as a person.
That is so interesting. And so all this, and how did you guys build this system to do what it does?
Yeah, Max can
Yeah.
tell more about the process, how it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, so the process was originating in the research, actually. So we worked closely with psychologists and computer linguists. And the psychologists, their job was to make sure that the data is actually scientifically valid. So what they did is they tagged all the transcripts and all the words of the interviews we collected from real people, also over time to make sure that we have consistent replicated results. And so their job was basically the tagging and making sure that it's compliant with the scientific theory that we're using.
Right.
And then we had experts in natural language processing who helped us build out the first models. And then once the newer technology came out from the AI, we also leveraged that. But the core piece is still within our proprietary data that we curated over these 4 years, and how we turned this into an AI model which can now do the same thing.
So, I mean, it's so fascinating. It's like hard to kind of wrap your head around it and how it can like get to know. But is this going to change? This is probably going to change the whole dating landscape.
I hope so, because the dating landscape is not very great right now. I guess most people would agree, probably, because the dating platforms are based on superficial factors, which is okay for some kind of dates. But if you're really looking for something deep, it is hard. Because, I mean, you can be lucky, obviously. We all know people that found people on dating platforms. It's not like it's terrible, but it's not based on deep connections. You can build deep connections yourself, but if the idea, like the first match, is based on you just match each other, you're just a complementary in the right moment, and the same in other moments. That's what you need, because then you have a totally different head start. You could even say like,
Yes.
you should meet this. Yeah, right. You should meet this person because X, Y, and Z. Maybe because you are very introvert and he's not too extrovert, but more extrovert. So something like that. You can always, whatever you need. So I agree.
So is this something that will come out eventually, like a new app?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could already do
exciting.
that on the so on the app. You can already compare yourself with others. They also have to do the interview right now or have another profile. So you could compare yourself with your current partner or with a date or with your family, whatever you want to do, and just to figure out where are potential conflicts and where are the similarities. So this is all. And by the way, Max described the technical way of building it, but just imagine 7,000 people that we interviewed over those 4 years, like from children in schools to homeless and billionaires, totally different people. And then we matched all of them with each other, only based on purpose. So the billionaire could be matched with a homeless if it makes sense, because they don't know that they are homeless or billionaire. And this is what we already did. So it's a completely different way of dating or meeting people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. But it could be used for so many other things, because if you're really tapping into like who you are and what makes you tick and all that stuff, it could be great to run profiles on investors, business partners, employees.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is that's where we are at right now. There are so many use cases, and we have to choose what we want to do first. My personal biggest wish is to use it for mental health, because and we can talk about that, I guess, later. But this is my biggest wish, because mental health starts with understanding yourself better, and this is what I'm dreaming of since I was 17, honestly. And again, it wasn't an AI back then, but I always wanted to have something that helps me understand myself better. I mean, it's just we all don't. I mean, I know very few people that really understand themselves. And but you're right. There are a
It's
lot of
true.
different. Yeah, there are so many in HR, in and also what was the other thing you said? HR and
Like
I mean,
like if you're business
Investors,
partners,
yeah.
yeah,
investors, business
investors, yeah,
partners, to
definitely.
make sure
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
the right kind of fit for the company, because, getting in bed, so to say, in a business with the wrong people can be detrimental.
Absolutely. So you have
Exactly.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because it's text-based, it allowed us to do a lot of interesting experiments. For example, we ran it on politicians, we ran it on CEOs. I mean, all of them have public text data available, so we played around with that, obviously. And we had very impressive results, for example, with CEOs who were convicted of fraud later, and those who were not convicted of fraud. And our AI was actually able to derive certain behavioral patterns which separated those two mindsets. And this is
Whoa.
obviously allows us to also apply it for fraud detection, which we didn't know before it would work. But that's how powerful this technology is.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a white paper on that actually, identifying fraudulent
Wild.
behavior. Yeah.
And so, okay, so let's talk about right now, today. Somebody just goes on to the website, which is what, millionways.io or
ME, like me.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the main website for, you can also download the app on the App Store, or you can go on millionways.ai. That's the chatbot.
Okay, millionways AI, millionways.me.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you can create an account and you can start uploading.
Right. And you can even do it without an account. The only thing is, depending on your browser, you may lose your interview because it's based on cookies then, obviously. So it's a little tricky, but if you want to stay completely anonymous, you can even do it without creating an account. But otherwise, if you want to be anonymous, just use a fake email. We don't care about that. You just need to have something, because otherwise you can't sign up.
Because you can't, right. So, and is there a cost for this service?
No, right now, not. No. We will change that in the future, obviously, someday, but right now it's just experimental for people to build a network and to see what people like and how it works. But we all have ready to go products for the B2B space, but for B2C, like if you want to use it personally, it's free right now.
I mean, it's just so fascinating. There's so many layers to this, and how it is so needed and can be so beneficial across like all landscapes. I mean, I'm kind of blown away. So I'm like, what am I going to ask next? But I mean, it really is, because I feel, as somebody who works in, the mindset field, it's that so many people are working in jobs and fields that actually aren't serving their purpose. So they're naturally getting this resistance in life, and they're unhappy, and then they just stay in jobs because it's easier to stay in a job you hate than go and take that risk. So I wonder if this will help more entrepreneurs and more innovative products begin, because it might be like, have you ever thought about doing X? And you come up with something based on that you didn't even know was part of your underlying kind of almost subconscious personality.
Right. Yeah, I wrote a book about that actually, unfortunately in German. So it's not translated, but the book was about like, why do you end up in a life that doesn't really suit you? That's what you just said. So it happens a lot. And sometimes it's really, even if you ask like celebrities like Steve Jobs or if they didn't meet the right people, they would also be in a totally different space. And mostly it's based on coincidences and chance. So you just
and a lot of luck too.
Yeah.
A lot of luck.
Yeah. Exactly. And if you're an introvert, for example, it's already more difficult. Or if you grow up on the countryside instead of in New York City, it's obviously also different. So it's chance and luck, as you said. And we wanted to multiply that everybody can meet people that they could work together with. Because as you said, if you want to start a company, you need other people, but you can't go to LinkedIn and type in who's like me, like the same goals, but complements my talents. That's what you would need. You need somebody with the same goal and vision, but complementary talents. But how do you want to find this person? It's not possible. So that's what we can do.
That's amazing. So you could almost like take people's posts from LinkedIn, let's say,
Yeah.
And just say, would this be a good person as a mentor?
Exactly. Yeah. If they
Yeah.
don't want to, if they didn't create their profiles with ChatGPT, which many people do, but usually you have some interviews online. You can use whatever is authentic. So you can use any authentic text, but yeah, generally it's possible. Yeah.
So is this a plugin that goes with ChatGPT?
Um,
Yeah,
No,
it can, but it's independent. So it can be
okay.
used completely independently of ChatGPT, but we have also integrated it naturally with ChatGPT to pretty much create a version of ChatGPT that is more intelligent or more like, let's say, more personalized than the pure vanilla ChatGPT.
Yeah, because especially if you wanted to say like, hey, like if you're somebody who maybe writes like a weekly blog or something, and you want to do it more quickly and efficiently, but in your personality and your tone
Yes.
versus just generic AI.
Yeah, it's a good example. If you use our chatbot on millionways.ai, that is right now, it is ChatGPT plus our AI. You could also use Gemini or whatever, it doesn't matter. And then you ask, for example, do I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? And ChatGPT would give you a very generic answer, obviously, because it doesn't understand who you are, even if it understands what you said. So right now it remembers things about you, but it doesn't really understand your personality behind your words.
Yeah.
And once you have that, you can get personalized answers. It can explain what of your traits leads to being a good entrepreneur, or what are your gaps, what is your missing piece. And also you can even ask, recommend a restaurant for me. And then you get a personalized answer, like, because maybe it knows that you are super introvert, and then it recommends a more quiet restaurant, for example.
So how, in order to get the most accurate personalization, what is the recommended amount of text and emails that one should upload?
Yeah, it should be minimum 1,000 words. In the app, as we mentioned, we use an onboarding process that we also created ourselves together with the scientists. It is a set of 18 questions, and these 18 questions should trigger the person to really talk about themselves. Again, it's not needed because the text can come from any other source. It can be a 1,000-word email if you have that for some reason. But yeah, we have different ways of assessing. The most accurate way is the minimum 1,000 words, and it helps if you talk more about yourself, obviously.
You can even compare. This is also interesting, maybe, because I love your passion for that, because it's really like you can compare your business personality with your private personality. Like, for example, you are usually a slightly different person with your family than you are in your job. Obviously, most people are a little different.
Yes.
And you can compare them, and or in relationships, and then you can figure out, like, how do I behave different in my current relationship than I did in my previous, because I still have the letters or emails or text or whatever. So you can play around a lot with that, yeah. Whatever you want to do, but it's only your data, so this is important. We don't do anything with that, so it's just very important. People send us diary entries. Actually, this was so humble. Really, I'm so humble that we had the chance to get this personal data from people over the years, because they trust us.
Yeah. So this all goes into, so do you guys see a lot of it, or is it pretty much now all system generated?
Yeah, we don't see. That's the most important part, because you only see the result in the end, because this is what I'm saying. Like, the rest is deleted. We don't need that. It's just a result, but they used these kind of things for getting the result. So
I mean, that's amazing because and like kind of taking it back to like the company thing is like how they used to do those personality tests. What were those called? They've had them around for years. You would fill out this test, or you do some form, and it tell you what kind of personality, what type of job you should have. But this is like a more in-depth thing. But it'd be so interesting to have. I like it because it's like having ChatGPT but personalized to you. It's so much more powerful.
Right, and it's also more touching, because you really learn something about yourself. Because I guess I also tried all of these online personality tests. You probably too, because it's just interesting, and most of the audience probably, we all try because it's fun. But do you really learn something about yourself? Usually you get the result that you expect to get because you gave the answers yourself. So if you answer yourself, you will obviously get the profile that reflects your self-perception. And that's not natural. And that's not always the whole picture. Because again, if people would understand everything about themselves, we would have a very different world. So that's not the
Yeah.
case. And in our case, it's not about what you are saying. For example, you can talk an hour about how confident and extrovert and happy you are. If the AI senses something else, it will give you that result. Doesn't matter what you are saying. It's only about how you are saying it.
That is, I mean, this is just wild. It's wild. So what are the next stages? You guys have raised some significant capital.
Yeah, we had the research phase. I was very grateful to have a very trusting partner, and he invested the budget for that personally. So it wasn't the government money or something like that. It was all actually like a gift, which I'm really, really grateful for. And then after we pivoted to for-profit, we just had angel investors, all with good intentions, all good people. So we were able to retain most of the company for ourselves to protect the vision up
Good.
until today. So we raised a 10 million lifetime. I can just say that it's not very much for an AI company, but we didn't need more because compared to other AI companies, we don't need to build a huge team of data analysts or servers because we already built the technology. So it's not an LLM. We don't have these huge amounts of data. We don't need that. So it's very different to other AIs. This is why we're in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing what you guys are doing. And so where do you see this going in 5 years?
Yeah, good question. So we really, my personal dream is still to help people with mental health. And what we are looking for right now is the right go-to-market partners, strategic partners for the different markets. Because what we build is a core technology. This is means something like ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is also a core technology. And you see that on the App Store, there are millions, 100,000 of apps based on ChatGPT. So you can do the same with our app. You can build a dating platform. You can build a analyze my diary platform. You can do whatever you want to do. So, and we don't want to do all of that ourselves because we are more like tech and science people. So we are not like the typical managers. So we need the right partners for HR, for example, for dating. That's what we are looking for. And yeah, that's also why we moved to the US. So we are.
Okay, so you guys are kind of like the technology behind it, and then people would license your technology to put into their new, talent recruiting agency or dating app or whatever that may be.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Because we're text-based, the integrations are so easy. So that's the disruptive part, actually. Most of these, you mentioned them, like most of these personality tests that are still used are multiple choice quizzes or maybe games or whatever. It's very it's not really seamless, and our integration would always be seamless. Like in huge platforms where you have all that text data already at hand, you can just plug us in the background. We could technically even white label it completely, and people wouldn't maybe know that it is running. I mean, you probably still have to disclaim it, but
Right.
Since it is based on text data, the integration is extremely seamless and fast, and can be integrated into all of these verticals that Martin had already mentioned.
Unbelievable. So no, that is very exciting stuff, and you guys are revolutionizing the industry even more.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, and the vision is really about mental health. So when we talk about that, it's really the hypothesis is if you understand yourself better, you are much less likely to develop mental health issues because of your understanding of your hidden patterns. And this is what we usually all struggle, right? So in school, we worked a lot with students and even younger children, and even in elementary school. That was back in Germany, and it was touching how many stories you see over these 4 years just because you connected two people. So
Yeah.
just imagine we had like little children with a very bad environment. Sometimes we worked in many like challenging environments, and they sometimes the brothers were already drug dealers and like literally and the little boy, like in this case 8 years old, would probably also become a drug dealer. And then you connect them with one person, in this case, a 70-year-old former shipyard employee. We connected the 8-year-old boy with him. And then 7 years later, when he was 15, he worked in this shipyard because of this one encounter. And then you get the goosebumps because they would never meet. Why should they meet? I mean, there's no way. This is just,
No.
there's no platform for that. And this is so easy. And I had people sitting in front of me crying because they were so touched because I did so much for them. And I was always totally uncomfortable because we didn't do anything from my perspective. I was always like, why are you crying? Well, I didn't do anything. And even that you just listened to them, like truly listened, was already a lot because people are not used to that anymore. And this
No.
is still so touching for me because it's so easy to change that, but we just don't do that. I mean, it's really easy. It was two people and it changed their lives.
Oh my
Serious.
gosh, I love that. I love that story. It truly is amazing. So speaking on the mental health, how can people, the listeners today, start understanding themselves better? I mean, obviously going to your website, and your tool, but what are some other tips that you have to help people understand themselves more?
Yeah, we had a lot of research on that, and the main reason is the main goal is always self-reflection, but this is very hard. So
Yeah.
what I personally did was this 1 day off thing. It is described in several books. It's not like my original idea, but I adapted that a little because if you have a day only with yourself without any input,
Yeah.
it's very, very touching, honestly, because and it means like no input, like no music, no TV, no series, like nothing. You just do output, like you're only writing all day. And when I did that,
Wow.
I was so nervous 1 day before that because I don't know, I was terrified. I felt totally uncomfortable because I knew tomorrow I will be completely offline. I'm not even allowed to read, nothing. You just have to, you're not only allowed to output things. And the reason why I was scared, that's interesting, right? Because the only thing I was about to do is having a day with myself. That's it. It's not very terrifying, but it feels terrifying. So I would recommend that to everybody, and it's so hard to do these days.
Interesting. No, it because you don't think about that. And when people say like my pen keeps dying. So no phone, no computer, no TV, no nothing.
Exactly, nothing. And then
Like isolation almost.
yeah, and then you try to at the beginning it's totally awkward and you count the hours and so on. But after a few hours, most people start writing or drawing or whatever your medium is.
Yeah.
And this is so interesting. And just I did it like unfiltered. You just write whatever comes to your mind, unfiltered, even if it's like completely confusing. But in the end, if you read all of that, you are very close to yourself already. And this is also what we do with our AI to listen and read between the lines. But you can also do it yourself. You can try to do it with a tool like this. And the cool thing is you don't need anything for that. You just need to turn off everything and sit with yourself and listen to what comes up. But it's really, I don't know if it's maybe it was,
Wow.
but it was very hard to do. So yeah.
No, but I really haven't heard that before. And you're really onto something because I think that that's a really great. Now, when you say a day, is this like your 16 hours that you're awake?
Yeah, that's how I did it.
Okay.
Some people say it's 24 hours, but I guess it's not really, there's no rule.
Because you
It
gotta
feels,
sleep.
but 16 hours, I can promise you, it feels like endless, especially at the beginning, because we are so overloaded with everything, and then you do nothing and nothing. Usually, if you have a totally relaxed day, you at least do some meditation or something, but you don't even do that. You're just sitting there and writing or drawing, and that's
Can
it.
you take a nap?
I did that, yeah. I never do it. But this day I did it just to because I was like, oh, then I have 1 hour less. But it's really betraying yourself a little bit. But yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That is. And Max, have you done a day with yourself?
Not in this capacity. And I also wanted to know, you're still allowed to eat, right? Although it's
Yeah.
technically an input too. So
Yeah, it's an output
yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
no. I've never done it. It would probably scare me to not
Yeah.
listen to music. I
Yeah.
love listening to music. But I could try a day with only listening to music, but it's still not the same. So, but I understand where Martin comes from, and I also agree with this hypothesis that we had, that mental health issues can be efficiently battled when through this two-step program that our AI also provides. Self-reflection and becoming more self-aware, becoming aware of your strengths and weaknesses and what makes
Yeah.
you tick. And as a second step, finding the right person who can help you with your goals and who can complement you in any scenario. It doesn't have to be dating. It doesn't have to be business. It doesn't have to be friendship even. We just want people to connect based on purpose and complementing each other's personalities.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's amazing. I can't wait to play around on this whole thing and see what it teaches me about myself,
Yeah.
you know. But I do like that part of the mental health is like, yeah, if you understand yourself better, you won't maybe feel as isolated for thinking a certain way or feeling a certain way or just, that it's you. And maybe you'll, you know, alter your lifestyle more towards what you really want.
And sometimes you need people like yourself. You maybe on one day you just want to talk to somebody who's exactly like you, just just because you want to be understood. And on
Yeah.
another day you're looking for inspiration, and then you need a totally different mindset. For example, if you have a very detailed or detail-oriented way of thinking, it's very inspiring to have a holistic person, and vice versa. So, but again, you don't know. I mean, you can ask them, but then it's a self-assessment again, and this is usually not accurate. So, if you really want to find somebody, and also out of the box, so not your usual bubble, um, how do you want to do that? Maybe there's a person in Turkey right now, like a 50-year-old Turkish guy. I don't know who's exactly like you, but you would never meet this person. I mean,
No.
and if you would know that it's a 50, you would already have some biases. Everybody has biases, just without negative. It's just like everybody has some kind of bias.
Yeah.
And if you just do it like this, you don't. If you're just chatting with this person, not even talking, you still don't know who it is. It could be a 17-year-old Chinese, or it could be, you don't know. And this is what I love to do. Like, this is so inspiring because we are all human in the end, and we are not that different. And this is also, I mean, it sounds a little cheesy now, but it's I really believe that because I mean, the emotions itself are the same all over the world.
Yeah. So is there an age restriction on this? To obviously you want to keep kids safe, but it'd be smart for kids to help understand themselves better.
Yeah,
We don't
totally.
want a kid communicating with some older person.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also the reason why the app is legally age restricted, but for us personally, it would not be age restricted. So in schools, we would do a project more. And you're not allowed to do that with an 8-year-old, obviously.
Yeah,
But if you implement it in schools, you can use it there together with the professionals.
Yeah.
We always want to add something. We don't want to replace, for example, a counselor. That would be horrible. So it's
Yeah.
only an addition. It could be a tool for a counselor.
No, no, absolutely. And also like, tool for parents to understand their child more. Maybe
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't understand why they do certain things and they get angry at them
yeah,
versus trying to understand them more and to figure out what is causing the behavior.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and this is something Max and I, we both experienced ourselves. So the motivation to build something like that is very intrinsic. Because as I said, I was adopted, so I grew up in totally strange family for me, and so we both know how it feels to be misunderstood, let's say, or not
Yeah.
being. Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
and that's what makes your business so authentic, is you wanted to find a way to understand yourself better and understand others.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then meet the right other people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, this was amazing. So where can people learn more about you guys, connect with you, sign up? I know you dropped it before, but drop it again so people have a refresher.
Yeah, great. So it's the app on the App Store, Play Store, called Million Ways. And we have the website millionways.me. We have the chatbot on
Yeah.
millionways.ai if people prefer that. I personally would recommend to do the voice interview because it's more fun and more innovative. You just talk
That's
into
the
your phone.
AI.
Yeah, that's
No,
the
that's
That's the
millionways.me.
app.
yeah,
Yeah, the app or millionways.me. AI is separate. This is a chatbot. Some people don't feel comfortable talking into their phone, but I mean, we all send voice messages, so I guess we are used to it. But I would recommend that because it's more authentic if you are talking compared to typing, because
I
that when
agree.
you always correct yourself and yeah. So this is where we are at, and obviously LinkedIn and stuff like that. We love to meet people right now because we need that. We also need connections.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, this was fascinating. So, yeah, well, thank you guys both for sharing more about this and kudos for what you're doing. I think it's really going to change the world.
Thank you so much. I hope so.
Yeah, thank you.
In a
Hope we can
positive
provide.
way. Yeah, no, you were. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. I love it. So thank you both. And thank you to everyone who's listening, wherever you may be. We will see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@next2madison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.